discovery and the protection of the D1 submarine is really exciting. It's a really revolutionary type of submarine during the development of the whole of submarine warfare. The preceding classes were much smaller and were designed purely for use as close to home for defensive purposes entirely. And the D1 is the first submarine. The D class was the first that were designed to undertake offensive operations beyond coastal waters. The D1 itself undertook patrols to the mouth of the River Ems in Germany, and it saw action in the Heligoland Bight as well.
And then we went and blew it up.
Absolutely. Well, this is why submarine development is so exciting. You know, when the D1 itself was developed, it was completely cutting edge and revolutionary, and by the time it then sunk only 10 years later, it was obsolete because these things are developing so quickly. When the D1 itself was sunk, it wasn't blown up, it wasn't shot, it was deliberately sunk so that it could be used as a target for submarine detection equipment. Because of course it wasn't just the Royal Navy that was using submarines, but during the First World War there were the Germans using submarines as well, and so developing technologies to counteract and to discover those submarines was really important.
And tell me about the wreck. It's what condition is it in now, and why is it important that it gets this status? Because obviously there wasn't really any intention to move it anyway.
So the discovery of the wreck's really exciting. The site of the wreck has been known for a long time. It's been charted since the 1920s, but the identity of the wreck in that location had been lost. So for a long time, it was believed to be a German U-boat. Nobody knew exactly which one it was. UB113 had been suggested as the identity of the wreck, and also UC49 had also been suggested. And the dive team who were diving the site went on this expedition hoping to dive a German submarine, and were quite surprised to discover that it definitely wasn't a German U-boat, and it was in fact the wreck of the D1. The wreck itself survives in remarkably good condition. It lies at a depth of about 50 meters on a flat seabed, but the wreck itself is intact. The very bow is slightly buried in the seabed, but apart from that, it's in fantastic structural condition. During the dives, lots of fixtures and fittings were still observed in situ, including torpedo tubes and so on.
Because of its depth, is it a bit of a tourist attraction, certainly for divers? Is it something your relatively average diver could go and explore?
So the wreck is now scheduled as a monument under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Areas Act. Because scheduling under this act means there's no restrictions to diver access, so divers are more than welcome to go and visit it. However, as it's at a depth of 50 meters, then it will will require a certain amount of training and detail and qualifications for divers to go and visit it.
And what do you expect locals to make of this? Because there is quite a pride in, when we look back on events around Dartmouth, and especially just up the road at Slapton Sands, there's a kind of pride and obviously a lot of sadness for the people that lost their lives. How do you think locals will view this?
I think it's really exciting, and it goes to show just how much was happening all around the coast during the First World War, and the very fact that a submarine as big and as important at the time as this can be lost and essentially forgotten about is such an exciting story in itself.
And for you personally, what impact will the new status have, do you think?
So scheduling the site means it's now recognised as being a nationally important archaeological site, which means that we can continue to monitor the site and provide and undertake projects and provide funding where necessary to ensure that the site is kept in as good a condition as possible. Scheduling also means that it's no longer possible to remove objects from the site, so the scheduling will help to preserve the wreck for future generations.
Obviously, it's underwater; it's quite hard to get to. Why not bring it onto land so more people can enjoy it?
When wrecks have been underwater for an extended period, then bringing them up, of course, it means they've been subject to quite a lot of decay and degradation, and so they'll would require a huge amount of conservation work to ensure that they don't completely fall apart, essentially. So while it would be fantastic to raise the wreck and to put it on display, it would be incredibly expensive to do that and to ensure its survival for the future. With these wrecks, because they're on the seabed now, they reach a good form of stability and equilibrium with the surrounding environment. And so being on the seabed is essentially the best thing for it right now. It's well preserved and it's safe, and so it's there, and we can investigate it and find out all the amazing things there are to discover about these early submarines.